If you're gonna go all that way, you might as well know what you're doing. Today we're gonna outline some tips and tricks and places to go if you are watch shopping in Tokyo. We were there to celebrate the launch of Chrono 24's new office in Tokyo and to sit down with Japanese watch enthusiasts. So make sure you're subscribed to check out those videos on the channel. What we wanna do today is give a quick run through of the Tokyo watch shopping experience, covering both places to go and things to keep in mind. Let's hit it. We'll start with the Ginza neighborhood of Tokyo since there's a lot of horological activity going on there. For some quick background, Ginza is the luxury shopping epicenter of Tokyo, similar to Fifth Avenue here in New York or Rodeo Drive in Los Angeles. We were escorted around by our own 2 feet, which is just fine since Ginza and Tokyo as a whole is very walkable. All the brand boutiques are here, so you can hit Langa, Omega, and the Grand Seiko flagship, for example. Not everyone speaks English, but the Rolex employees have learned the words display only. Overall, the brand boutiques are fairly standard, and as in a store in Tokyo isn't that different from one in the US or Europe. But the one boutique setup that was quite unique was the Nicholas G. Hyatt Center housing Swatch Group brands. Here, you walk into what is essentially a courtyard with these glass rooms scattered around. Each glass room is branded as Omega, Longines, Tissot, etc. And each glass room is actually an elevator that takes you to the individual brand boutiques located above and below you. As you'd expect, the customer service in Japan is impeccable, which can be a nice relief compared to some ADs in the US and Europe. We chatted it up with an Omega sales associate, and when we got back on the elevator to go down to street level, he did a full bow and did not move until the elevator was out of sight. Okay, that's enough about Ginza. There are a few other boutiques that I'll shout out in a rapid fire list later on, but let's talk about Nakano Broadway. Nakano Broadway is kind of like the 47th Street equivalent of Tokyo. It's a 4 or 5 story mall with lots of comic book stores and a lot of gray market / pre-owned watch stores. You won't necessarily find any major deals here, even with a weak yen, but you will find plenty of inventory. We're talking Submariners, Daytonas, Cartier tanks, Speedmaster variations, you name it. I've heard a writer at Fratello say that the camera stores secretly have the best watch deals, and you'll find some in Nakano Broadway, but we didn't really strike any gold during our quick overview of the stores there. That said, if you are looking for vintage Ultraman figurines, Nakano Broadway is the best place to go. Now for a quick rundown of other watch stores to check out before we get into the tips and tricks for watch shopping in Japan. For each place that I'm about to mention, we either visited them ourselves or we had local enthusiasts recommend it to us. There's a very cool boutique called Chrono Theory specializing in independent brands. The decor is inspired by Star Trek, and there's a bar there so you can have a drink while you try on an Ophion or an Urwerk, for example. We filmed an interview there with Chronos Japan editor-in-chief Masayuki Hirota. So if you like independent brands, check out Chrono Theory. For that video, check out our channel. Real quick, you also have the Rosin boutiques, Kamakichi, Iguchi, and one called Private Eyes, which one of our interviewees highly recommended. And finally, you of course have to go to as many Seiko and Grand Seiko boutiques as you can while you're here. We also toured the Seiko Museum and filmed a separate video about that. Okay, let's wrap this up with some do's and don'ts and things to keep in mind while watch shopping in Tokyo. Number 1, the yen is weak, so pricing for watches from Japan is advantageous. That said, everyone still has the internet, so they won't deviate too much from the market rate, but you'll still find good deals there. If you chatted with Japanese dealers before on Chrono 24, you perhaps know that negotiating isn't really a thing over there. It's easy to find fairly priced watches that have been well maintained, but you can't really get a discount on top of that low price. That said, if you're not a Japanese citizen, you can often purchase tax-free, which saves you about 10%. Number 4, cash is king, but you can use a credit card to buy a watch, and you should select yen as the payment currency, at least now that the dollar and euro is so much stronger. Number 5, every store is tiny, but you can hit a bunch back to back to back, so plan your trip out that way. Number 6, have a translation app on hand to help you communicate with store staff if you have some more complicated questions. Number 7, be on the lookout for over polishing, and if you're shopping online, it can help to ask more details about the status of the case just to be sure. And number 8, all in all, Japanese dealers are very transparent, very friendly, and easy to work with. Also, the notion of taking care of your things is deeply ingrained into Japanese culture, so it's easy to buy a great watch from a trustable source. That's all for now. As always, if there's anything we missed, please drop a comment below to help out the community. Be sure to like, subscribe, and take a look at our other Japan videos hitting the channel. I'm Thomas Hendricks with Chrono24. Arigatou gozaimashita, and as always, enjoy your watches, y'all.